Imagine walking into your bedroom and feeling an instant calm. No clutter, no chaos, just space that breathes. In Sweden, people over 65 follow a beautiful tradition called Döstädning, or Swedish death cleaning. But don't let the name fool you. It's not about death at all. It's about living better, lighter, and more intentionally. Across the United States, more seniors are embracing this idea, not out of fear, but out of freedom. It's the quiet movement helping older adults reclaim peace of mind, reduce family stress, and rediscover joy in their surroundings. Because clutter doesn't just fill your shelves, it can weigh on your heart. In a world that's constantly telling us to hold on to everything, this Swedish practice whispers something entirely different. Let go, not to lose, but to live. It's gentle, thoughtful, and deeply emotional. And for many seniors, it's becoming the ultimate act of self-care and love for their families. Would you try a ritual that promises peace, not pressure? Tap like if you're curious, because what you're about to learn might just transform how you see your home and your life. Meet Loretta Wynn, 72 years old, a retired school counselor from Portland, Oregon. With her soft curly white hair, kind eyes, and her favorite mustard yellow cardigan, Loretta spends her mornings surrounded by framed photos. Her late husband, Tom, smiling from one corner, her grandkids' drawings taped proudly on another. After Tom passed away 2 years ago, Loretta found herself in a house full of memories and things. Every shelf, every drawer told a story, but some of those stories were too heavy to carry every day. Then one night, scrolling through a Facebook group for retired women, she stumbled on something unusual, a post about Swedish death cleaning. At first, she admits, she recoiled. Death cleaning? How depressing, she thought. But curiosity got the better of her. She watched a video, read a few articles, and slowly, something clicked. This wasn't about death. It was about life, about choosing what matters and freeing yourself from what doesn't. As Loretta puts it, at first, I thought it was morbid, but it turned out to be the most healing thing I've ever done. What started as an experiment soon became a spiritual reset, one that taught her courage, clarity, and the gentle power of letting go. Have you ever held on to something just because letting go felt too hard? Tell us in the comments. You're not alone. Method number 1. The mindset of Döstädning, cleaning for the living. Loretta Wynn, with her curly white hair and mustard cardigan, sits quietly at her kitchen table one morning, a cup of tea steaming beside her. Around her, stacks of photo albums, greeting cards, and her late husband's books rest in small piles. For the first time, she's not overwhelmed by the clutter, she's reflective. Because now, she sees this not as getting rid of things, but as an act of love. This is the heart of the Swedish tradition called Döstädning, or death cleaning. But make no mistake, this isn't about dying. It's about living better now and easing the weight your loved ones might one day carry. In Sweden, it's a practice of compassion, where every decision you make about your belongings is a quiet message to those you love. You won't have to carry this for me. Loretta describes it perfectly. For years, I thought I was saving things for my kids, she says softly. But really, I was saving them the burden. She begins with small steps, a drawer, a shelf, and each cleared space feels like a breath of fresh air. The guilt that once came with letting go slowly transforms into gratitude. She's not erasing her past. She's honoring it by choosing what truly deserves to stay. As she touches Tom's old baseball glove, she smiles. Instead of feeling pain, she feels presence, a quiet peace. Because she's realizing that memories don't live in the things, they live in her heart. And that's the secret mindset shift behind Swedish death cleaning. It's not about loss, but love. It's a gift of clarity, a gesture of care, and a profound way of saying, I lived fully, and now I'm making room for what matters next. How would it feel to make space without feeling guilty? To look around your room and see only the things that still tell your story today? Share your thoughts below. Someone out there might need to hear your perspective. Method number 2. The 3-box legacy system. On a quiet Sunday afternoon, Loretta Wynn spreads 3 large boxes across her living room floor. Her daughter, Julia, An 8-year-old grandson, Milo, sit beside her, curious. Written in bold letters across the boxes are 3 words: joy, love, and peace. This is Loretta's 3-box legacy system, a 2025 twist on the traditional Swedish death cleaning that turns a difficult process into something meaningful, gentle, and even joyful. The first box, Keep for Joy, is for the treasures that still bring warmth to daily life. Her late husband's watch that still ticks faithfully each morning, the teacup she's used since her first year of marriage, the cardigan her best friend knitted decades ago. These are not just objects. They're comfort anchors, the little pieces that make her space feel alive, not crowded. The second box, Give for Love, is where the real storytelling begins. Loretta hands Milo an old globe, its edges worn, its oceans faded. This was the globe I used to teach geography, she smiles. Now it's yours, to remind you the world is still big enough to explore. In that moment, the process shifts from decluttering to legacy building. Each item passed down carries a memory, a story, a reason. It becomes an act of giving forward, not letting go. And the third box, Release for Peace, is perhaps the most powerful. These are the things that no longer serve, the clothes, the gadgets, the forgotten gifts, items that have quietly finished their chapter. Loretta takes a deep breath and says, "Thank you," before letting them go. There's no guilt, no sadness, only relief. Because what's leaving her space is making room for calm, clarity, and freedom. This method isn't just organization, it's transformation. The 3-box legacy system bridges generations. It invites laughter, reflection, and sometimes even tears. But most importantly, it reminds everyone that legacy isn't about what you leave behind. It's about what you share while you're still here. Would you invite your loved ones to help you sort your treasures? Imagine the stories that would come alive if you opened just one box together. Tell us, which box would you start with first? Method number 3, the digital cleanse revolution. When people hear cleaning, they often imagine closets, drawers, and boxes. But in 2025, clutter doesn't just live on shelves. It hides inside our phones, laptops, and inboxes. That's where Loretta Wynn takes Swedish death cleaning into a new dimension, the digital cleanse revolution. One rainy morning, Loretta sits by her window with her tablet and a warm mug of tea. She opens an app called Memory Vault, a digital companion designed to help older adults safely organize their digital lives. Inside it, she uploads photos, saves passwords, and records short voice notes for her family. But this isn't about deleting her memories, it's about protecting them. It's her way of saying, when I'm gone, you'll never lose my voice, my stories, or the love tucked inside them. She starts with her phone's photo gallery, thousands of pictures, screenshots, and old text messages. Each one tells a fragment of her life. Instead of deleting mindlessly, she curates intentionally. She saves a photo of her late husband smiling on their 40th anniversary, labels it the day we danced in the rain, and adds a voice message. He never liked dancing, but that night, he did just for me. It's no longer a cluttered gallery, it's a time capsule. Next, Loretta organizes her digital papers, medical files, banking info, passwords. Using the app's legacy mode, she assigns trusted access to her daughter, ensuring that when the time comes, everything will be simple and stress-free. For Loretta, this is love in digital form, clarity replacing chaos. But perhaps the most powerful part is her digital journal. Each week, she records a short message, sometimes advice, sometimes humor, sometimes just a whisper to say, "I'm proud of you." These snippets will someday play for her grandchildren, creating a bridge between generations that even time can't erase. Swedish death cleaning isn't just about tidying your home, it's about safeguarding your story. And in 2025, that story often lives in the cloud. Loretta shows us that letting go doesn't mean disappearing, it means becoming timeless. Would you create a digital legacy for your family to keep? Imagine your voice, your memories, your wisdom, safely preserved for the next generation. What would your first message say? Method number 4, thanking before letting go. In Sweden, there's a beautiful, almost poetic step within the Döstädning tradition. Before you release an item, you thank it. It might sound small, but this act of gratitude changes everything. It shifts the heart from guilt to peace, from sadness to appreciation. And that's exactly what 72-year-old Loretta discovered when she began her most emotional step yet, learning to say goodbye with grace. One afternoon, Loretta stands in her bedroom surrounded by boxes labeled Give for Love and Release for Peace. On her bed lies a faded ivory wedding dress wrapped in tissue. She sits beside it quietly, her fingers tracing the delicate lace. Then, on a small piece of stationery, she writes, "Thank you for holding me through the happiest promise of my life." She folds the note, tucks it into the box, and exhales. It's no longer a goodbye, it's a moment of closure. Next comes her late husband's old record player, the one they used every Sunday morning while cooking breakfast. Instead of rushing the decision, she places her hand on it and says softly, "You gave us music when we had silence. You kept his laughter alive in these walls." Tears form, but so does peace. The act of gratitude turns pain into remembrance, not loss. Finally, she picks up her old ceramic mug, the one from her teaching days, a gift from her students that reads "Best Counselor Ever." She chuckles, remembering the scribbles on the handle and the chipped rim. Another note, "You've seen countless mornings, late nights, and coffee spills. Thank you for staying." That mug isn't just an object, it's a chapter. And by thanking it, Loretta gently closes that chapter without regret. Psychologists in 2025 call this emotional reframing, a technique that helps seniors turn decluttering into emotional healing. It's no longer about losing, it's about honoring what once gave meaning. Gratitude becomes a bridge between past and present, allowing you to keep the memories while releasing the weight. Loretta says it best, "I realized that when you thank something, you don't throw it away, you set it free." And that's the heart of Swedish death cleaning: compassion, not control. Grace, not grief. Have you ever said goodbye to something that meant a lot to you? How did it feel? Maybe it's time to write a thank you note, not to say goodbye, but to honor what once made you smile. Method number 5, the Serenity Room Transformation. The real goal of Döstädning isn't to strip your home bare, it's to make space for serenity. It's about creating a room that feels like a deep breath, not a storage unit. For 72-year-old Loretta, this realization came one quiet afternoon when she stood in the middle of her bedroom and whispered, "I want peace to have a place here." So she began her final transformation, not by buying something new, but by subtracting what no longer soothed her. She opened the curtains wider, letting sunlight pour in across the wooden floor. The dresser, once cluttered with trinkets, now held a single vase of lavender. Her nightstand, once buried under papers and pens, now held just one book, the journal where she writes her daily reflections. She called this space her Serenity Corner. There were only 5 things in that corner, 5 pieces of her story that truly mattered. Her late husband's photo in a small silver frame, her favorite worn armchair with a knitted throw, a candle that smelled faintly of cedarwood, her gratitude journal, and a small music box that played the same tune she danced to at her wedding. Nothing more, nothing less. Every item had intention. Every glance at the corner reminded her that peace doesn't come from abundance, it comes from meaning. Researchers at AARP found that in 2024, seniors who simplified their bedrooms, removing visual clutter and keeping only purposeful items, reported sleeping 30% better and waking up 40% less anxious. It's not just a statistic. It's proof that clarity in your surroundings leads to clarity in your mind. And for Loretta, this was more than a bedroom makeover. It was emotional renewal. That night, she sat in her Serenity Corner, candle flickering softly, music box humming. She said, "It's the first time in years I felt my room love me back." Swedish death cleaning, at its heart, isn't about death. It's about how beautifully life can continue when everything around you feels intentional, calm, and truly yours. If you could create your own Serenity Corner, what's one thing you'd keep? Something that brings you calm every single time you see it? Tell us below. Your idea might inspire someone else to start their journey toward peace. Method number 6, turning cleaning into legacy. There's an old Swedish saying, "Let your home tell your story before someone else tries to." For many seniors, those words carry deep meaning. They remind us that what we keep, and what we pass on, can become a quiet autobiography of our lives. For Loretta Wynn, this became the final chapter in her Döstädning journey. After months of sorting, thanking, and releasing, she didn't want her home to feel empty. She wanted it to speak for her. So Loretta created what she lovingly called her life shelf. Not a big museum display, not a shrine, just a single shelf on her living room wall, holding 5 carefully chosen keepsakes that represented her journey, her joy, and her growth. The first was her husband's old compass, the one he carried during their cross-country road trips. It symbolized direction, faith, and the freedom they once shared. The second was her school bell from her 40 years as a counselor, a symbol of guidance and patience. The third, a postcard from her daughter written decades ago, still curling at the edges but filled with love that hadn't faded. The fourth was her late mother's lace handkerchief, delicate, but strong, like the women in her family. And finally, a tiny ceramic heart made by her grandson in kindergarten, slightly cracked, but mended with glue, a reminder that love, even when repaired, remains beautiful. Loretta said she wanted her life shelf to do what she couldn't someday: tell her story with honesty and warmth. She smiled as she placed each item down, whispering, "This isn't about holding on, it's about holding meaning." This is what makes Swedish death cleaning so powerful in 2025. It's evolving into a living legacy practice. Seniors across the US are no longer decluttering to disappear. They're curating to be remembered, intentionally, joyfully, and on their own terms. Hospice organizations in Minnesota and Oregon have even started introducing legacy corners, encouraging seniors to create small, store-rich displays instead of storing hundreds of forgotten boxes. For Loretta, her life shelf became more than decor. It became a mirror, one that reflected a life well lived, not just well kept. And when her daughter visited and saw it, she said softly, "Mom, this feels like you're still teaching us, just in a quieter way." The truth is, legacy doesn't need to wait for later. You're building it right now, in what you choose to keep, what you pass down, and what you allow to let go. If someone walked into your home today, what story would they see on your walls or shelves? Share one object that carries your story. It might inspire someone to start building their legacy shelf too. Method number 7. The new American wave. Something quietly remarkable is happening across the United States in 2025. What began as a Swedish tradition is becoming an American movement, not about death, but about redefining how we live. From Florida to Oregon, senior centers and community spaces are hosting what they call gentle declutter circles. These aren't yard sales or support groups. They're social sanctuaries where older adults come together, share stories behind their possessions, and rediscover the freedom that comes with lightening life's load. It's not about judgment or minimalism. It's about meaning. Participants sit in cozy circles with coffee mugs in hand, each bringing a single item that once held weight: a pair of ballroom shoes, a wedding photo, an old radio, and talk about what it meant, and why they're choosing to keep it, gift it, or release it. The laughter is soft, the tears gentle. It's less about cleaning rooms and more about cleaning hearts. Loretta Wynn joined one of these gentle declutter circles at her local community center. She walked in expecting a lesson on organization, but what she found was friendship. She met Harold, 81, who was ready to give his train set to his grandson but needed to tell its story first. She met Diane, 69, who brought a cookbook filled with her mother's handwritten recipes. Together, they realized that letting go didn't have to be lonely, it could be shared. As Loretta spoke about her life shelf, others nodded in understanding. The group decided to host a legacy exhibit, displaying one meaningful item from each member, along with a short note about its story. It became the talk of the neighborhood. Visitors said it felt like walking through a living museum of love, courage, and nostalgia. And this isn't just anecdotal. The trend is real. According to 2025 data, Google searches for Swedish death cleaning have tripled among US retirees in the past year. AARP forums are buzzing with stories of families finding healing through this practice. Social media groups for seniors now share photos of legacy corners, memory shelves, and handwritten goodbye notes to clutter. Experts are calling this the new American wave, a cultural shift where seniors are blending Scandinavian mindfulness with American storytelling. It's about taking control of your narrative, not leaving it to chance. And it's turning decluttering, once a solitary task, into an act of connection and celebration. Loretta says she now looks forward to the first Thursday of every month, when her gentle declutter circle meets. She says it's not about getting rid of stuff anymore, it's about discovering what still truly matters. In a world obsessed with more, this new generation of seniors is finding joy in less, and that's a revolution worth watching. Would you join a gentle decluttering group if your town hosted one? Let us know in the comments. Maybe your story will inspire your own community to start one. Loretta Wynn now wakes up in a home that feels lighter, not because she got rid of everything, but because everything left carries meaning. Her dresser holds only the essentials: a framed photo of her husband, a small lavender candle, and her favorite book of poems. The quiet feels different now. It's not emptiness, it's clarity. She once said she feared what would happen if her family had to sort through her things one day. But now, that fear is gone. Her daughter told her, "Mom, your house feels like you again. Calm, loving, and wise." That single sentence made every moment of reflection worth it. Swedish death cleaning, or Döstädning, was never about preparing to leave. It was about learning to stay, fully present, in a life that feels manageable and meaningful. It gave Loretta back her sense of control and replaced anxiety with serenity. Her space no longer holds chaos, it holds her story. She puts it best: "I thought I was preparing for death. Turns out, I was preparing to live." Across America, more seniors like Loretta are realizing that peace is the real inheritance. Not the furniture, not the photos, but the emotional ease of knowing their lives are in order. When you declutter with intention, you don't lose pieces of your past. You make room for your present to breathe. So if you've ever walked into your bedroom, garage, or attic and felt that weight, that quiet overwhelm, maybe this is your sign. Start small. One box, one drawer, one memory at a time. Because Döstädning isn't just cleaning, it's reclaiming your story, your space, and your peace. If Loretta's story inspired you, hit like, share this with someone who deserves peace in their home, and subscribe to Elderly Dose, where wisdom meets simplicity, and every choice leads to freedom.